Hello everybody, we are dressing Alice and today we're going to sew our Adeline overalls dress. Now this is a slightly oversized dress. It is designed for winter so it can be layered. So first off, you're going to print your pattern on A4 or standard letter paper. You're going to cut around the black border and tape together and then cut out your individual pattern pieces with your fabric. You're going to use a fabric pen to mark all the dots on your front bodice and on all of the straps. Now, these dots are used as a guide to place your pocket and your straps, but you can place them wherever you like. You're going to take out your ruler and draw two lines, 1/4 inch and 1 inch from the top edge of the pocket. Iron a fold at the 1/4 inch line towards the back, and then iron another one at the 1 inch mark. Take this over to your machine and sew along the edge of your fold. We're using a checked fabric here, so it is easier to do it from the right side of the fabric rather than underneath. You're going to flip your pocket over and draw lines 1/2 inch from the bottom and the side edges of your pocket. All right, now you're going to iron a fold at each line toward the back. Lay your front bodice right side up and pin the pocket using your guide dots. Now, the guide dots are optional. You can place it as high or as low as you want. Head over to your machine and now it's time to top stitch along the bottom and the sides of the pocket. Make sure that you back stitch to reinforce the pocket. As kids do, I'm sure they'll place lots of things in there and you don't want it to tear off mid-wear. Take out your two sets of straps and you're going to place them right side together. You're going to sew these straps with a 1/4 inch seam allowance right side together. Grab your scissors and cut off the corners of each of your straps. This will help it turn around the right way a lot smoother. Turn your straps right side out. You can use a blunt pencil or a knitting needle to help you get through the job. You can also buy these little strap turning tools online, which are also helpful. They do tend to do a much better job than a pencil. You're going to iron it flat and then top stitch around the edge of your straps. Sew the side seams of the front and the back bodice with a 1/2 inch seam allowance right side together. So the front and the back bodice will be your main fabric. You're going to repeat this step for the front and back bodice lining. Turn your overalls right side out. Leave a 1/4 inch on each side for the seam allowance and then place your straps. I like to measure this line with a pen or one of your fabric markers. Lay your straps on your back overalls so they are pointing downwards like shown in the video. Now, just keep in mind that the larger sizes don't overlap like they do in the smaller sizes. Sew a line 1/4 inch from the top to secure the straps. Place your lining on top of your overalls right side together. You're going to sew this with a 1/2 inch seam allowance along the top edge. You want to snip off the corners and give your armhole curves a couple of snips. Turn it right side out, grab your pencil or your knitting needle and poke out those edges, and then you're going to iron and top stitch along the edge. Moving on to your skirt now, we're going to take your front and back pieces of your skirt. You're going to pin and sew the side seams with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Once you've sewn that, take the time now to finish your side seams either by overlock or zigzag stitch. You can hem now or at the end. I like to do it now before we gather our skirt so you have an easier surface to work with. You're going to take out your ruler and draw 2 lines, 1/4 inch and 1 inch from the bottom edge of the skirt. You're going to whip out your iron and you're going to iron a fold at the 1/4 inch line towards the back and then again at the 1 inch line. You're going to sew along the edge of your fold to finish hemming. You want to set your machine to its longest stitch length now, ready to gather. And then you're going to sew a line 3/8 of an inch from the top of your skirt. Make sure that you leave long tails of thread. Then you're going to sew another line between the raw edge and the line you just sewed on the front and the back of the skirt. You want to turn your bodice wrong side out and your skirt right side out. You'll notice in our video our skirt's already gathered. We have a self-gathering machine, so yours will look more square until we do the next few steps. Now in this step, you're only pinning it to the bottom layer of the bodice piece, which will be your main fabric and not your lining. You want to pin your side seams together and then pin the center notch of the front skirt to the center notch of the front bodice and repeat for the back. You want to pull one set of the tails of thread that you left in the earlier steps to gather the skirt until it fits the inside of your bodice and pin. You want to sew the waist seam with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Iron your bodice lining over so it just covers your sew line and pin down. You'll need to sew along the edge of your fold. Now I find it is easiest to sew from the right side of your fabric as though you were top stitching it along the edge. Last but not least, you want to add snaps or buttons to finish your Adeline dress.